Good morning, everyone. I'm Tyne Lucas, Senior DEI Program Manager with the Strategic Plan Implementation Team. Before we begin today's session, I'd like to start with a quick interactive activity to learn more about who's joining us today. In a moment, you should see a QR code displayed on your screen. You can either scan this code with the participant information with your camera's smartphone, or you can visit polev.com/UMODEI185 in your web browser to participate. So again, you can either scan the QR code with your smartphone's camera or visit polev.com/UMODEI185. We have two quick questions that we'd like for you to answer today. First, we'd like to know where on campus you're joining us from. So in the activity, you will drop a pin by double tapping your location on the map, and you may need to pinch and zoom into the map for a clearer view. This is going to help us understand the reach of our DEI efforts across different areas of our campus community. Second, we'd appreciate if you would share your current level of engagement with DEI initiatives on campus. Whether you're just beginning to explore DEI work or have been deeply involved, we value your perspective. So please take a moment now to respond to these questions. The results of this activity will be shared toward the conclusion of our welcoming remarks. Thank you again for participating in today's session. And now I will hand things over to Katrina Wade Golden for our official welcome.
Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our community information session on the DEI 2.0 Year 1 Progress Report. My name is Katrina Wade Golden, and I am honored to serve as your Associate Vice Provost, Deputy Chief Diversity Officer, and Director of Implementation for the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategic Plan. I want to first extend my deepest gratitude to each and every one of you for being here today. The DEI 2.0 plan is an ambitious initiative that requires participation from our entire community. Thank you for doing your part. We are incredibly proud to share the progress we've made over this past year, which lays a strong foundation to energize and enhance our efforts as we begin the launch of Year 2. This progress report today showcases many tangible outcomes of our initiatives, such as outcomes of our pipeline program, Wolverine Pathways, to our impact program that is enhancing representation in the biomedical and health sciences, among many other things we're going to showcase, demonstrating how we're transforming the daily campus experience to ensure that every student, faculty, and staff member feel that they truly belong at this institution, that this is their university. At a time when some question the value of DEI, our impact speaks louder than any criticism. These moments call for us to stand firm in our commitment to academic excellence and show ourselves to be a world-class institution that truly lives into our values. This is no easy challenge. However, as a community of leaders and best, it is our responsibility to engage with resilience and fortitude. Together, we can create an environment where diversity, equity, and inclusion are more than just aspirations. They are the very fabric of our everyday experiences. In a moment, Chief Diversity Officer Tabby Chavis will highlight key achievements we've made this past year. While today's presentation features select accomplishments, we invite you to explore our complete Year 1 progress report at deiplan.umich.edu. But we also want to hear from you. So following CDO Chavis's presentation, we'll engage some of your questions in a Q&A session. Feel free to submit questions and comments anonymously using the QR code that will appear or that's now appearing on your screen. You can also find a link to submit questions in the live stream description and chat window. While we may not get to every submission, your input is essential in shaping and strengthening our DEI initiatives. Before we go ahead and move forward in our program today, I'd like to take a few moments to review the results from our earlier interactive activities that were led by Tyne Lucas. And so we're waiting for, so we're going to see those on the result here. So looking at our virtual campus map, it's wonderful to see participation from so many different aspects of campus, truly demonstrating how DEI efforts touch every corner of our university. And I'm thinking next we're going to see the engagement information. Okay, so maybe we'll have an opportunity to come back to that piece of the engagement scenario. Oh, okay, here it is on the screen. Okay, so it is wonderful to see that a great majority of you are engaged in the DEI efforts that are happening on campus, whether it be through central efforts or what's happening in your unit. We truly thank you for that level of participation. So now it is my great honor to introduce our valiant leader, Dr. Tabby Chavis. CDO Chavis is the Vice Provost for Equity and Inclusion and Chief Diversity Officer here at the university. She has served in this capacity since May of 2022. She is also a professor of education and professor of psychology. Dr. Chavis has held leadership roles at the department, college, and central administration levels during her almost 25 years here at U of M. She was the director at the National Center for Institutional Diversity and Associate Dean for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the College of Literature, Science, and Arts. Prior to that, Dr. Chavis served as an Associate Vice President for Research, Associate Dean for Academic Programs and Initiatives in the Rackham Graduate School, and Chair of the Combined Program in Education and Psychology. Across all of her roles, the value of DEI have been central to her leadership approaches and practices and infused throughout the initiatives, programs, and practices she's helped develop and implement. Tabby leads the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, working closely with ODE unit leaders and staff on initiatives for students, faculty, and staff. She also fosters collaborations and partnerships with campus units, local communities, and national partners. Thank you again for your commitment and your presence here today. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Tabby Chavis.
Thank you, Katrina. And thank you to everyone who's joined us today. I'm so looking forward to sharing snapshots of our DEI 2.0 year one progress. And as Katrina said, please visit deiplan.umich.edu to access the full year one report, as well as the 51 unit specific plans. And if you haven't already, please review your own units plans and consider the areas of goals, consider the goals and action areas that you want to support and participate in. Next slide. To start, it's always important to reemphasize that the goal of our efforts is for diversity, equity, and inclusion to permeate all that we do on campus as part of our core values. It's also important for me to remind our community of the definitions that we created for diversity, equity, and inclusion, created through a community process and endorsed by our Board of Regents in 2016, prior to the launch of our initial DEI 1.0. So what do we mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion? How are these concepts defined? And how do they guide and show up in our strategic plans and efforts? Our commitment to increasing diversity includes myriad forms, including race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, socioeconomic status, language, culture, national origin, religious commitments, age, disability status and identity, and political perspective, among others. Our commitment to equity means working actively to challenge and respond to bias, harassment, and discrimination at interpersonal and systemic levels. It means upholding equal opportunity policies and practices for all without discrimination on the base of identity or background. It means that we understand that while talent is equally distributed across communities, opportunity is not. So we work to provide all in our community what they need to thrive and be successful. Our commitment to inclusion means deliberate and continual efforts to ensure that our campus is a place where differences are welcomed, different perspectives can be respectfully heard, and where every individual can feel a sense of belonging and inclusion. Inclusion doesn't mean that discomfort and challenge never happen. By definition, if we are diverse, then we will encounter viewpoints and perspectives that differ from and maybe even challenge our own. So in this context, inclusion means that all feel empowered to use their voice and feel that their presence and contributions are a valuable part of our campus community and work. We know that by building a critical mass of diverse groups on campus, supporting equitable access to opportunities for success and thriving, and creating a vibrant climate of inclusiveness, that we can effectively leverage the resources of diversity to advance our collective capabilities, including our goals for excellence and societal impact. We know we do have clear definitions of DEI that guide our work. And I think this is important to note in this current moment because we know that individuals and organizations can sometimes use abstract language that people don't always understand. Without defining our work and approach, it is easy for confusion to arise because people think we're talking about the same things when in fact, there may not be clarity about what we mean. So it's important that this presentation comes in a context that there are concerted, coordinated efforts to delegitimize and dismantle DEI, both the practice and the terminology. This is designed to make diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts seem unfair, divisive, expensive, and so on. However, when we speak clearly about our actual DEI efforts using specific and values-based language, we have found that faculty, staff, students, alumni, and other members of our community are often very supportive, because they understand we are working to provide access to the wide swath of people to ensure that they have the best chance to succeed while they're here. At Michigan, our commitment to excellence is inextricable from our dedication to DEI. These principles are not just moral imperatives, but are essential components of our excellence and societal leadership. There are more than 3 decades of research and evidence that supports the value and benefits of diversity, equity, and inclusion for increasing excellence. Our commitment also attracts top faculty and staff and serves as a training ground for academic leaders. Indeed, many U of M leaders have become academic leaders and organizational leaders at many other institutions and organizations. Our campus's DEI strategic planning process was unique in higher education at its outset, and it remains a leading model for values-driven, evidence-based transformation. A priority was recognizing and honoring this decentralized structure and culture here at U of M and the resulting heterogeneity across units. So it was important that our planning process was one that was both distributive to address units' unique local challenges and strengths, and to draw on local expertise and knowledge, and also centrally focused to help provide support and a cohesion across different unit plans. Because our goal was to infuse evidence-based knowledge and skills across all areas of standard operations, it was critical that our campus community co-own this strategic plan. So each of our 51 units, academic, schools and colleges, administrative and service units, developed their own unit plans, drawing on their own local community expertise to define priorities, goals, actions, and solutions. The plan also includes partnership with our central administrative offices, which help lead a number of campus-wide action items that are more appropriate to conduct centrally at scale than at the unit level. And we'll discuss some of those later. I'll also emphasize that evaluation and assessment is critical to our process. It has allowed us to pinpoint with data areas that we're making progress in, but also identify areas where we can do better. This helps us invest our resources of financial, time, and effort in the most efficient and effective ways possible. Transparency is also important to our work. We don't only use anecdotes or cherry-pick examples to support a predetermined narrative, nor do we disregard evidence that can support areas where we can improve. And we are working in various ways to respond to what the data tell us, which includes the perspectives and input of our community. As an example, evaluation data from our initial DEI 1.0 plan indicated that we could benefit from developing greater efforts for enhancing disability accessibility and religious diversity and inclusion. And those areas are now a part of our current DEI 2.0 work. The 2.0 plan specifically includes the implementation of 21 central campus-wide action items. University Central Leadership also developed a central-wide campus plan led by the Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or ODE, to support the 51 unit plans and oversee several university-wide programs. Again, this information is available to our public via a website that tracks the progress on each of these action items, report.dei.umich.edu. This transparency also serves as a part of our accountability and community empowerment commitments. Infrastructure such as our DEI leads, foundational programs such as the Go Blue Guarantee and Wolverine Pathways, as well as reporting and metrics to support accountability are key areas that support all areas of our 2.0 plan and that continue to evolve in response to community input and need. So, fundamentally, what we're trying to do with our plan is to shift and improve culture around diversity, equity, and inclusion. The institutional model guiding our strategic plan represents our theory of change, including key elements fundamental for achieving the cultural transformation we seek. We begin with raising institutional awareness around community concerns, opportunities, and improvement, including the experiences of different communities. We build on this greater awareness by using evidence-based approaches for developing individual skills to work on these concerns and opportunities. At the same time, we focus not just on individuals, but on aligning systemic policies, processes, and procedures in ways that better reflect our espoused values and goals. Sustained engagement in these efforts then create cultural norms and reinforcers that contribute to the goal of truly broadening institutional access. That is, in ways that reflect abundant representation of the groups and cultures that make up our nation and society, that promote a welcoming climate, and that enable equitable opportunities for thriving and success. In developing their plans, units were asked to address 3 objectives that were universal to our strategic effort. They are people, recruit, retain, and develop a diverse community; process, create an inclusive and equitable campus community; and products, support innovative and inclusive teaching and education, scholarship and research, and service and engagement. Again, we encourage you to read the full DEI 2.0 Year 1 Progress Report available online. And I'll now shift to highlighting some of our campus-wide initiatives that align with the people, process, and products goals. People. This goal reflects our efforts to promote an ever more diverse student, faculty, and staff community, including providing individuals with the support and accessible opportunities necessary for their success. We're proud of the range of initiatives that we've identified and developed in partnership with schools, colleges, and units across campus. These action items were prioritized based on community consultation and input. And please note the wide variety of activities that are part of this work that connect to communities across campus and beyond. And again, you can learn more about each of them in detail on our DEI 2.0 website. Before spotlighting specific examples, I'll start with demographic data related to our people goal. These data indicate that our strategic work has helped enhance affordability and access to higher education, as indicated by increases in numbers of students from lower income family backgrounds and growth in transfer students, for example. Along with these newer or expanded efforts listed in the prior slide, we have invested and continue to invest a large proportion of U of M's DEI resources towards socioeconomic access and affordability over the past 8 years of our strategic plan periods, including creating and improving financial aid programs like the Go Blue Guarantee, which have been vital in recruiting students from rural, suburban, and urban counties across the state of Michigan. Our data also indicate that our strategic work has helped enhance the representation of first-generation students, women, and has allowed us to make positive strides in enrollment of students of color across all groups, including Black, Latino, Asian, and Native American. After the passage of Proposition 2, the state amendment banning race and gender conscious admissions, that was empirically shown to negatively impact enrollment for years after its passage, especially for underrepresented groups. We are proud that these trends are moving in the positive direction, but we also know that there's still much more to do to achieve the abundant representation of the diverse groups that make up our state, nation, and global society. I'll take a moment to spotlight Black undergraduate student enrollment, given recent national attention, and as our data show, this group was most disproportionately negatively affected by the 2008 Prop 2 state ban on race-conscious admissions, as well as population and socioeconomic changes in Michigan public schools over the past few decades. In our efforts, we're acknowledging the real and unique concerns of Black students, including anti-Black racism, and are working to be responsive to them. For instance, we're using data and evidence from our initial DEI 1.0 plan and national data to show factors underlying Black enrollment challenges and Black students' distinct experiences of campus climate. And our leadership offices are collaborating with students to improve and advance a specific focus on Black student access and success as part of our DEI 2.0 plan. The progress we've seen from our efforts, including increasing new Black enrollment by 13% over the past year alone and 87% since 2020, is due to these collaborative efforts. Again, that doesn't mean that we don't have much more to do. This figure shows enrollment trends of Black identified students. It shows an increase in the number of Black undergrad students enrolled since the start of our DEI strategic plan in 2016, with the bottom blue portion representing students identifying as Black only, and the upper portions representing students who identified as Black and at least one other racial or ethnic group, which are grouped separately in our university data based on federal and US Census categories. Currently, there are more Black undergrad students enrolled at U of M than any other time historically. But as U of M's overall enrollment has also increased substantially over time, our goal is to have the percentage of Black students increase relative to the rate of overall increase. As a way of illustrating our movement toward this goal, this figure shows trends in new Black undergrad enrollment, showing that the entering classes of Black students have been growing over time, and especially in most recent years. The percentage is growing too. This year, for instance, students identified as Black made up 8.8% of incoming students, with 6% identifying as Black only, and an additional 2.8% identifying as Black and at least one other racial and ethnic group. Our goal is to see this promising trend continue further. Here, you can see indicators of progress, as well as of continuing work we need to do related to enhancing faculty diversity. Since 2016 to date, we have seen increasing trends across all minoritized faculty groups, with the exception of our Native American tenure track faculty. And here, as you can see, indicators of progress, as well as continuing work we need to do related to enhancing staff diversity. Similar to faculty, we have seen increasing trends across all minoritized groups since 2016, with the exception of our Native American staff. For our Native American students, faculty, and staff, we see a much greater proportion of Native American identified individuals in the 2 or more races and/or Hispanic Latino groups. But the issue of cultural identification has some unique nuances for our Native American communities, which are critical to examine and address thoughtfully when examining and representing our data. This is one of the many areas that we look forward to engaging in collaboration with our community through the new DEI 2.0 action item focused on honoring Article 16, Native and Indigenous engagement and partnership. Similarly, we know that the continued lack of federal categories for Arab, Middle Eastern, North African, or AMENA groups represent challenges in representing our community fully. These issues are now being examined at the federal level, and we will draw on our local experts to help us integrate this work into U of M efforts and data approaches. And Another exciting aspect of our current and future work involves data-informed ways to better describe, examine, and support our diverse international communities, as reflected, for example, in the Rackham-led campus-wide action item focused on international student experiences. Our strides in student enrollment diversity are a function of many collaborative efforts across U of M offices, units, schools, and colleges, involving strategies such as earlier and broader outreach. One significant effort is Wolverine Pathways, a pre-college enrichment program for middle and high school students in underserved school districts in Michigan. Wolverine Pathways has contributed significantly to the diversity of U of M undergrads since its launch during DEI 1.0, and the program has used evaluation data to identify greater areas of improvement and impact to increase high school participants' admissibility to four-year colleges, including U of M, and to leverage the transfer process to enhance enrollment. Example year one steps include recruiting staff to help deepen alumni connections and an undergrad fellow to support data tracking, collaboration with LS&A's Transfer Center, and piloting an algebra jumpstart component, as well as targeted advising and tutoring. Currently, Wolverine Pathways serves 480 middle and high school students from underserved Michigan school district areas. The program is enhancing higher ed access. It has supported 660 students to and through high school graduation, with 92% entering college and 265 at U of M campuses. The program is also enhancing U of M recruitment. Pathways participants are more likely to be admitted to U of M and more likely to enroll when admitted as compared to their high school counterparts. One of U of M's key faculty hiring initiatives is the LS&A Collegiate Fellows Program. This program is offered in partnership with the National Center for Institutional Diversity and the College of LSA. Building upon the success of DEI 1.0, where 50 outstanding early career faculty with DEI commitments were recruited to the College of LSA, LSA now has two programs, LSA Collegiate Fellows 2.0 and LSA Senior Collegiate Fellows. The Fellows 2.0 hiring program will recruit 20 faculty as postdoctoral scholars or with tenure track positions or directly into tenure track positions. The new LS&A Senior Collegiate Fellows program seeks to hire 12 tenured faculty recently appointed to the rank of associate professor who've demonstrated DEI commitments through their engagement and leadership appropriate to their career stage. The shared goal of these programs is to recruit, support, and retain exceptional faculty committed to building a broadly diverse intellectual community. Over the past year, LSA has hired 8 faculty members as LSA Collegiate Fellows and 2 faculty members as LSA Senior Collegiate Fellows. The Michigan Program on Advancing Cultural Transformation, or IMPACT, is an exciting new program that builds from the success and the evaluation data of the Collegiate Fellows model. IMPACT aims to enhance diversity, equity, and inclusion in biomedical and health sciences by recruiting 30 new tenure track assistant professors across 11 schools and colleges, all committed to advancing DEI. The program is part of the National Institutes for Health Faculty Institutional Recruitment for Sustainable Transformation, called NIH First, initiative. U of M and the National Institutes of Health have jointly invested into this program as part of a nationwide effort to attract top talent to academia and lower barriers to access and success in the biomedical and health sciences. IMPACT employs evidence-based recruitment processes to generate strong, diverse candidate pools for schools and colleges and departments to evaluate. IMPACT not only seeks to recruit 30 new scholars, but to also train and develop an accomplished pool of senior faculty with commitment to DEI to serve as sponsor mentors. These same core faculty will also serve as agents of change in their respective departments as part of a strategy to foster a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive scientific community. It's important to highlight that both the LSA Collegiate Fellows Program and IMPACT are not only bringing to campus outstanding scholars, who are also getting offers from top institutions across the nation and scholars who have DEI commitments, but the program designs are intentional with the goals of shifting culture in ways that not only maximize programmatic outcomes, but address structural and cultural factors that underlie the lack of faculty diversity in higher education. We've demonstrated through these programs that equity and excellence are not only compatible, but that equity is necessary to support excellence. As I referenced earlier, our DEI 1.0 data showed relatively lower and slower progress for Black students with regard to recruitment, representation, as well as campus climate experiences. While our recent enrollments are trending in exciting ways, there's more to do. As such, a central action item focuses on these areas. Over the past year, a steering committee of students and university leaders was formed and developed a framework and an implementation team for advancing the Black Student Union's 4-point platform for equitable access, achievement, and belonging. Efforts include reinforcing and disseminating programs that address anti-Blackness, institutionalizing a Harambe convocation and establishment of the Council of Elders, events to connect students with faculty and staff, and marked increases, as I mentioned, in new enrollment of Black identified students in fall 2023 and fall 2024. Now, we'll show a short video highlighting some of the amazing work happening across our campus around our people goal.
The Honoring Article 16 DEI 2.0 Central Action Item seeks to lift up the well-being and success of Native American and Indigenous staff, faculty, and students at the University of Michigan. To fulfill the treaty promise made in 1817, we walk this path in partnership with Michigan's sovereign tribal nations and communities to honor our predecessors and to amplify the voices of all our relations.
And over the past year, we've held a series of community town hall meetings with tribal and campus leaders to articulate and prioritize strategic objectives. With President Ono's endorsement, we're moving forward implementing a holistic and sustainable set of initiatives while collectively crafting an even broader vision for Native American and Indigenous inclusion and success with our many campus and tribal partners.
In talent acquisition, we partner with teams across the Ann Arbor campus to recruit and hire for open staff positions. And that means weaving DEI principles into everything we do on a daily basis. We ensure consistent, fair, equitable practices. For example, ensuring inclusive language in job postings, which is really key for candidates. Facilitating interviews for consistency. Focusing on a positive candidate experience. And mitigating bias on the spot. For DEI 2.0 Year 2, we've trained hundreds of hiring managers and team members around core recruiting competencies, which really impacts their daily work, including a virtual reality interviewing training in partnership with the Center for Academic Innovation. And due to the strength of our partnerships that we've built over the years, we've been able to get deep into unit-specific upskilling and other resource needs at the ground level. These practices matter and they produce results. Candidates have reported a more positive experience. The diversity of our applicant pools has increased. The number of days it takes to hire has decreased, which is really important for operations. And we continue to see positive impact on a daily basis.
I am Todd Esther, Associate Dean for DEI at the School of Dentistry. I'm here to share with you a DEI 2.0 highlight, our pathway program to dentistry Profile for Success. In 2024, we celebrated 30 years of this pathway program, and it has been a program that has brought together physicians, pre-dents, pre-med, dentists, professionals, and educators to gain understanding on how to be successful in the application process to dentistry, admissions tests for dentistry, and also how to gain access and see what would it be like to be on the campus and be involved at a school of dentistry. We are happy to report that over 500 of our graduates are now educators, teachers, physicians, dentists, researchers, some even teaching at the School of Dentistry. We were so happy to bring 200 together to celebrate this past summer, and we look forward to many, many more years of Profile for Success.
Now, on to process. Process goals reflect our efforts related to processes, procedures, and policies that promote equitable access and opportunities for success and thriving in our campus environment. Here's a list of current central action items focused on process goals. Again, you can learn more about each on our DEI 2.0 website. Please notice the wide range of areas and constituencies on which our DEI efforts around process focus. One area of community feedback from our DEI 1.0 evaluation, especially from our staff, was a desire for more professional development resources and supports, especially those that move beyond enhancing knowledge and awareness towards skill building that individuals could incorporate into their professional work and environments. To address this need, a variety of campus expert offices and units work to expand offerings such as workshops, mini courses, and consultation, both virtually and in person. Over the past year, for instance, organizational learning substantially increased its course offerings and evidence-based strategies for more inclusive workplace environments. They reconstituted the Facilitator Engagement Program, a network of staff experts across campus units to support training and consultation services to campus units. They also convened a cross-campus working group to map the DEI resources and needs across campus to identify areas of capacity and gaps. This approach will help us reach the whole campus and in ways that meet diverse units' needs and increase efficiency and minimize redundancy of efforts, something that can easily happen on our very decentralized campus if we're not attentive to it. Organizational learning is also working with many campus experts and local and national organizations to develop educational trainings for our campus community that address Title VI, focused on eliminating multiple forms of bias and discrimination due to identity, background, or ancestry, which includes bias based on religious and cultural identity, such as anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. As this figure illustrates, in the past year alone, many of our staff, students, and faculty took the initiative and opportunities to enrich their knowledge and skills through evidence-based educational and professional development resources offered by expert units such as organizational learning, the Center for Research on Learning and Teaching, Student Life, and Advance, among others. We're also excited that our DEI 2.0 efforts will prioritize the interconnections of diversity, equity, and inclusion with carbon neutrality and sustainability. In doing so, U of M is positioned to advance even further as an international leader and change maker in addressing climate change and environmental justice. Our serious investments in this area include the creation of new key leadership roles, Associate Vice President for Sustainability, Shauna Weber, and Vice Provost for Campus Sustainability and Climate Action, Shalonda Baker. These new leaders are collaborating with Michigan Medicine's Chief Environmental, Social, and Governance Officer, Tony Denton, to develop and advance a comprehensive programmatic vision that addresses infrastructure support, interdisciplinary curriculum teaching and research, and environmental stewardship and social equity in healthcare. Drawing on our DEI strategic plan model, these new efforts seek to affect culture change at U of M, that is, infusing and integrating evidence-based knowledge and practices for carbon neutrality, campus sustainability, and environmental justice as part of our campus's standard operations and values. Example projects include a 25 megawatt on-site solar installation by Radio Power to serve U of M's 3 campuses, educational geo-exchange installations, and a study on Scope 3 emissions goals. We are proud of this commitment to environmental justice and leveraging Michigan's knowledge and resources to positively impact local communities and regions and beyond. Now, we'll show another short video highlighting some of the other amazing work happening across our units related to our process goal.
I'm Kelly Dunlop, and I'm Student Life's inaugural lead for spiritual, secular, religious, and interfaith engagement. Religion, spirituality, or secular identity plays a significant role in the lives of many in our community. We're strengthening religious inclusion across campus while supporting individual exploration and discovery. We offer resources that support our community's spiritual, secular, and religious well-being, like reflection rooms that offer private, quiet spaces, more than 100 religiously affiliated student organizations, and strong connections to national interfaith efforts. And now, in this next phase, we're creating more ways for students to express their faith and learn with and from others with differing worldviews. This fall, we've just launched a steering committee of colleagues from across campus to help us continue to foster a more inclusive and welcoming campus, regardless of one's religious or non-religious identity.
I'm Stephanie Rosen,
And I'm Brandon Werner.
and we're part of the ITS Accessibility team.
Our team is working to enhance digital accessibility on campus.
We're taking action to make sure that all technology tools and digital information at U of M can be used by everyone, including people with disabilities.
We've made great progress. We've established a university network of digital accessibility liaisons and developed internal training on universal design and best practices for accessibility.
We've also set up systems to track our progress, and we're working to offer new tools and support services next year so that you can make your websites, digital content, and course materials accessible.
My name is Jessie Veal and I use they, them pronouns. I'm the director of Spectrum Center, the first gender and sexuality campus center on a college or university campus. Research shows nationwide that 2S LGBTQIA+ communities face chilly and sometimes hostile campus environments. As an institution, the University of Michigan has continually set the standard for queer and trans equity, inclusion, and belonging through policy advances and innovative programs. To continue our legacy as a national leader, we are launching the Queer and Trans Task Force. The task force will develop a clear and collective understanding of the challenges and opportunities faced by 2S LGBTQIA+ students, staff, faculty, and alumnics across the 3 University of Michigan campuses. In year 1, we established our leadership team, defined our project scope, and set an ambitious timeline. In year 2, we are launching the full task force, and we will begin our inventory of practices, policies, and initiatives, as well as our student focus groups. For me, this work is a love letter to our queer and trans community members. It is a project that is led primarily by queer and trans people in service of our incredible communities.
Finally, the products goal reflects our efforts related to products or the infusion of diversity, equity, and inclusion in our educational programs, teaching methodologies, research and scholarship, and service and engagement. Here are current central action items focused on products goals. The Provost Office, in collaboration with schools and colleges and other expert campus units, launched a new phase of its Student Success Initiative, which seeks to leverage the immense student-related data across our campus to inform action and interventions to promote holistic student success, meaning performance, graduation, personal growth, well-being, and thriving. A key priority is to support equitable access to these success pathways, including shrinking group disparities in these pathways and success outcomes. The initiative draws on recommendations from multiple faculty staff-led committee and input processes. Recent action steps include the creation of a new vice provost for undergraduate education, Professor Angela Dillard, who is leading the initiative, coordinating and partnering with academic and support units across campus, launching the Early Momentum program to support students in developing course loads that increase the likelihood of their academic progress and completion, mapping the academic advising and support landscape on our campus and outlining steps for enhancing educational and financial gaps, and the development of an academic student success network to support first-year students. The Inclusive History Project is a multi-year presidential initiative to study U of M's history through the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Starting in fall 2023, it involves the university and surrounding communities in examining origins, people, sites, and research. IHP aims to produce scholarship, research, and courses and reimagine policies to address historical injustices. Since the release of its initial framework in 2023, the IHP has made strides in expanding its team across our 3 U of M campuses, engaging campus communities, and initiating historical research. It formed a multi-campus advisory committee of faculty, staff, students, and community members. To support its diverse constituencies, IHP hosted events, community meetings, and launched new communication platforms. The IHP also awarded 25 grants and introduced 15 new IHP-focused courses for 2024-25. IHP also rolled out the IHP Teaching Fund and the IHP Research and Engagement Fund. 25 grants were awarded to students, faculty, and staff. It launched 5 large-scale research projects, for example, on topics like U of M Flint's DEI centers and the 1817 land transfer by indigenous nations. And finally, IHP added 15 IHP-focused courses to the 2024-25 academic curriculum. We encourage you to learn more about IHP and to get involved. Now, here's our final short video highlighting some of the amazing work happening with our products goal.
I'm Liz Cole, and I'm one of the co-chairs of U of M's Inclusive History Project. The Inclusive History Project is a multi-year initiative to honestly and critically re-examine the University of Michigan's past as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion across all 3 of our campuses and Michigan Medicine. We have research teams of faculty, staff, students, and local community members collaborating on many projects, including the 1817 land transfer from the Anishinaabe people that led to the founding of the university, the relationship of urban renewal to U of M Flint, the early years of U of M Dearborn, and more. The IHP aims to understand the continuing impact of the university's full history on our present, and our work will lead to recommendations for reparative actions to change our future. We hope people across the university will get involved. Visit our website, come to an event, take or teach a course. Please join us in this work.
I'm happy to take some questions now, but before we go into Q&A, just a few final thoughts. At a time where there are attacks on the work of DEI and that are pervasive and at our own front door, let's be clear that as a community, we cannot back down at U of M. These attacks are a way of minimizing and denigrating the work of many committed staff, students, faculty, alumni, and other partners that dedicate their energy to a more just Michigan. We need more than ever engaged and active U of M community members. Every campus unit and every campus member can positively advance diversity, equity, and inclusion through their respective missions, roles, and positions. As established evidence-based practices such as inclusive hiring protocols, strategic outreach and engagement strategies, and other legally compliant programs and approaches are being newly scrutinized and challenges, we need to be ready to respond and counter with evidence and truth. Part of the evidence and truth is what we presented today and much more. And part of this is taking the opportunity to tell your own stories about why diversity, equity, and inclusion matters so much to you and your work and your journey. So please keep talking about the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion as essential to excellence and societal impact, and talk about it often, a lot, and precisely. I fully understand the role that U of M plays nationally, so the stakes are high not just for us, but for our state and our nation. What we have done at U of M is unprecedented, has made a difference here, and has influenced other higher ed institutions and public and private sectors beyond higher ed. So what we do here now and in future years of this journey will impact U of M, higher ed, and our entire society. Thanks, and again, please check out our full website for more information as well as your own unit's plans. I look forward to the rest of our program today.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Tabby, for that wonderful presentation. I'm heartened every time I have the opportunity to hear or see all the great things that are happening all across campus. So we're going to go ahead. We did receive several responses or questions for you, and we're going to take up a couple of those questions today. So there were several comments that came in relation to the recent New York Times article. And so the first question is, please comment on the New York Times article disparaging U of M's DEI efforts. How valid are any of the concerns raised, and is there anything in their reporting that can inform our approach?
We can learn something from everything. I will say that, as I said in a response that I, issued shortly after, that those of us who do this work, we welcome critical engagement. That includes criticisms, questions, wanting to understand, what works and what doesn't work based on evidence and data. The unfortunate thing is that article did not serve us well in providing that type of balanced, critical examination of actual evidence that would allow us to actually name, as I have today, areas where we have made progress and areas where we continue to have challenge. I think one of the most exciting aspects of our challenge, as we move to these next stages of DEI, is that as we get more diverse in the ways that we say that we want to, we are going to have different types of challenges and opportunities as it relates to communicating and engaging across difference, how we make decisions about what types of things we center in the curriculum. And for some things that were always marginalized in the curriculum may need to be centered. And we have more people at the table who are pushing to center things that have been historically marginalized. And so the goal, I think one of the follies of that article in terms of the way that it only presented kind of one side of the story, is that it reinforces this narrative that we're trying to address inequality by creating inequality. That's actually not the case. We don't want to bring others to the table and remove people from the table. We're trying to create a bigger table, to make sure that people are all included, and that inevitably, can then relate to intergroup tensions. Universities like Michigan have been places that have grappled with societal issues that are happening nationally and globally. And how can DEI work be a part of helping our community engage across those differences in productive ways, not censoring speech or censoring perspectives and the like too. So to me, that the idea of questioning where we are in DEI is not wrong. We should always be questioning that. We do that all the time as a part of our commitment to assessment, evaluation, and improvement. But the piece itself was crafted in a way to reinforce or confirm a kind of predetermined narrative of the overly woke institution that is indoctrinating people, versus really honoring the kinds of complicated ways that we're trying to grapple with topics and issues and experiences of different types of communities, maybe experiences of communities that some people have not had to think about before, and having to think about them, our LGBTQ plus community, thinking about our communities, our racial and ethnic minoritized communities, our religious and cultural communities may have perspectives or experiences or tensions that some people have not had to think about before. And so as an institution, that messiness is a part of the work that we must do. We're doing that at Michigan in serious ways. Our DEI work is not just 5 programs. It is a campus campaign to ask our community to think about their missions and areas and how does DEI matter in those spaces. So it's a long way of saying that, the article touched upon issues that we need to grapple with, but it was one-sided and didn't really provide evidence of the things that we are doing, along with the kinds of evidence around areas of continued challenge, much of which we actually shared with the reporter, and it was chosen, the decision was to not include that valuable data and information.
Thank you for that response. The next question, Tabby, is, U of M is very liberal. Does the DEI work include diversity of thought?
Yes. So this is one of my, so diversity of thought, I would just say that if you are, I think the current, we're in an election season, and the current political context tends to dichotomize people into either liberal or conservative. And in fact, real people are actually much more than that dichotomy. So our own data actually don't support the idea that Michigan is like more that fully liberal. Even the data that we've collected in our climate survey shows that anywhere between 15% of our community would identify as conservative based on a political party. But that if you're not conservative, that doesn't mean you're liberal. You could be moderate or right of center, and most people don't actually identify at the polar ends too. So that's one piece, is that there's kind of a accepted fact that actually hasn't been empirically shown that Michigan is just fully liberal, when in fact people represent views across the spectrum. The other piece is that when we look at like conservative and liberal, that we also need to be thinking about whole people. I will just say that it's often assumed that I'm just a fiery liberal because I work in DEI, but if you actually ask me about different topics, I have a mix of conservative, moderate, and liberal perspectives depending on the topic and issue that we're engaging. And that's what we hear from our students, and that's what we hear from our faculty, and that's what we hear from our staff. Our students actually say, I came here with really conservative beliefs about X and really liberal beliefs about Y. And when I got here, I met other students or peers that challenge my beliefs or challenge my assumptions too, and they like that as a part of their experience at Michigan. So I would say that and I would say that because diversity is defined at Michigan as inclusive of many, many, many backgrounds and all identity groups, that yes, diversity of thought, which is fundamentally tied to having different life paths and experiences and backgrounds, is a central part of what we do care about and want to advance at Michigan. We are more excellent because of the diversity of background, experience, cognitive perspective, life lenses that people bring to our environment. One thing that I will acknowledge is that because of our current social political context, there can be fears on both sides of the spectrum around expressing one's views. People who have more progressive, quote unquote, views feel as though they will be sanctioned if they are expressing their views. And we've heard that people who have conservative perspectives feel as though that they can't freely and fully express their views too. It's not just a phenomenon of one side, it's a phenomenon of our current national zeitgeist. And I think Michigan is positioned to actually be a model of how we can do that differently.
Great. Thank you, Tabby. So we are going to, and in your response, I love just how robust they were. They addressed many of the other questions that were coming in. So thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and move us along in our program. And one of the things that we love about our DEI efforts on campus is that this is just not it's not a top-down, just a top-down initiative. We are working, as Tabby suggested, to engage this work all across the university within our units. And so we're happy to be able to share some information or to highlight 4 presenters today to give you a taste of what the great work is that's happening within our units. So the first person we're going to highlight today is Kat Walsh, who serves as the Executive Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion within the Office of University Development, and she'll be talking to us today about the Look to Michigan campaign. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you, Katrina. To start, I want to share a personal story that relates to Vice Provost Chavis's earlier point about socioeconomic need. In 2004, I was applying to graduate schools. In my research, I discovered a dual degree program at the University of Michigan between the Marshall Family School of Education and the Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy. I emailed Dr. Steve Desjardins, a national lead in post-secondary enrollment and retention research, with my questions. He suggested we talk on the phone, and then he spent over an hour with me, and I hadn't even applied. Other schools barely returned my emails. My choice was clear: Michigan. Fast forward 1.5 years in, I was $70,000 in student loan debt, working 20 hours a week with no health insurance, and I couldn't sustain the financial pressure, and it didn't occur to me at the time that I could reach out for help. So I went to Dr. Desjardins, Steve, at that point, to let him know my decision to drop out of school. He took a breath and he stopped me, and he said, Michigan needed me, a girl from the most southern point of Texas, and requested that I delay my decision a couple of weeks to see what was possible. He sent me to CW Plus for an emergency grant, got me contracted work with the Gates Foundation, which was really beneficial for my career. And then I was able to secure a position that covered the cost of my tuition and health insurance for my final semester of school. Michigan invested in me, and it's why I choose to live thousands of miles from my family to fundraise for this institution and to make sure that we continue to invest in ideas, in research, in the arts, in communities, and brilliant students, some that I have the privilege to teach now at the Ford School here at Michigan. Tomorrow, we publicly launch the Look to Michigan campaign, our most ambitious comprehensive fundraising campaign to date. And we are raising money so that we can work in partnership with communities to solve the world's most complex problems and to break down barriers so that our students, faculty, and staff thrive while they're here. I now plan to share my screen so that you can see our impact areas and core commitments for this campaign. No. Our fundraising campaign has 4 impact areas: life-changing education, health and well-being, democracy and civic and global engagement, sustainability and climate action. And in addition to the priorities that we see across our schools, colleges, campuses, and units, we have core commitments. The arts, a way to speak truth to power and engage in community to understand what's happening in our world, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our impact areas, our school, college, campus unit priorities. We can't address global issues without DEI. Dr. Scott Page, a professor of complex systems in the Ross School of Business, mathematically demonstrates that cognitive diversity, which includes our identities, trumps individual capability when it comes to solving complex problems. The research is irrefutable. To achieve the bold vision set out in this campaign, we need diversity, equity, and inclusion. Diversity is necessary. Diversity is Michigan's superpower. And that's all of us, all our faculty, our staff, our students, our nurses, our doctors, our patients, our researchers, our community partners around the world, alumni, volunteers, artists, activists, and donors. And I tell you what Steve told me as we launch this campaign: we are raising money because of you. You are Michigan, and we need you. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna step in to say thank you, Kat, for those comments. And we will now welcome Stephanie Sanders. And Stephanie is going to talk to us today about a project integrating anti-racism into teaching and learning. And Stephanie is representing the Ford School. Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Katrina and Tabby, for allowing me the opportunity to share what we're doing at the Ford School. Again, my name is Stephanie Sanders. I am the Director of Diversity Initiatives at the Ford School, as well as a lecturer, and I'm excited to share how we are integrating anti-racist principles into our teaching and learning efforts. And at this time, I will share my screen to demonstrate and to walk through what we're doing at the Ford School. So this commitment isn't new for the Ford School. Since 2021, we have deepened this work through 3 key areas, including our curriculum and scholarship, our community engagement. And this work flows directly from our mission, which is something that we think about often. It drives our strategic direction, and we are very committed to being a community dedicated to the public good, where we seek to inspire diverse leaders who are grounded in service, who conduct transformational research, and collaborate on evidence-based policymaking to address our world's most pressing challenges. Part of our special sauce at the Ford School is our ability to bring together individuals with diverse backgrounds and experiences to think about complex policy issues. And this, of course, starts with our faculty recruitment efforts. So we are intentionally building interdisciplinary teams that shape what and how we teach. Thanks to the Office of the Vice President's Anti-Racism Research Grant, in partnership with the Provost Anti-Racism Initiative, our faculty participated in the Racial Justice Cluster Hire, providing them with a platform where they continue to advance knowledge through research and scholarship in critical areas like racial justice and technology, environmental racism and health equity, and using AI innovations to address racial and economic inequalities in African societies. Last year, we offered a robust set of 12 courses addressing issues pivotal to race, racism, and racial justice across multiple contexts. While most of the courses are electives where students can opt in, every junior in the Ford School is required to take Public Policy 476, which I teach, where they learn about the importance of applying analytical frameworks to policy topics with an eye toward advancing equity and opportunity. And while the curriculum provides a foundation for our anti-racism efforts, it is really the Center for Racial Justice that brings these concepts to life. The Center for Racial Justice is the cornerstone of our anti-racism work. It was founded in 2021 under the visionary leadership of our phenomenal dean, Celeste Watkins Hayes, and it is operated under the expert guidance of Drs. Dom Adam Santos and Mara Osveld. The CRJ is a cross-disciplinary hub where social and racial justice change makers, scholars, and students work collaboratively to develop new tools and strategies, all in the pursuit of racial justice. In addition to their slate of initiatives, the CRJ also has a signature visiting fellows program that supports racial justice leaders, activists, artists, scholars, and advocates alike, all in the name to strengthen their impact within the policy landscape. And I'd like to close by highlighting our Anti-Racism Clearinghouse, which is a resource featuring over 100 curated multimedia material across disciplines like policy, sociology, education, and economics. But what makes this resource useful is its practicality, because faculty are able to access everything from assignments and syllabi to a glossary of terms and theoretical frameworks. And the last thing that I'd like to leave you with is that when we think about integrating anti-racist principles into our teaching and learning enterprise, part of our policy education is about the school, yes, and part of it is about the university. However, a significant driver is about the larger environmental context and the ecosystem that becomes the experimental laboratory. And this allows faculty, staff, students, and our partners to gain hands-on experience guided by faculty leaders and advocates who are at the forefront of policy issues.
Thank you so much, Stephanie, for that information. So while these talks are really short, I would classify them as lightning talks. They are so powerful and impactful for sharing the work that we're doing in our units, and we have 2 more for you. So we're going to now go into our 3rd talk, where I'm going to welcome Sandy Zalmout, who is the Business Development Manager at the Institute for Social Research. And Sandy is going to talk to us about the Beautiful Minds Conference. Welcome, Sandy.
Good morning. First of all, I'm Sandy Zalmout, and I am the Associate Director for Membership at the Inter-University Consortium for Political and Social Research, and that is a mouthful. But I am thrilled to be with you today to share the advocacy work around neurodiversity that was launched last year by myself and a group of staff across this university. The work that we're doing is around neurodiversity. And so you may be asking what neurodiversity is. And neurodiversity is an umbrella term that describes how the brain functions differently from individual to individual in thought, processing, learning, and behavior. And the work that we're doing is really leaning into the narrative of shifting this from a stigma that kind of others these communities to a perspective that embraces and celebrates neurovariations and neurodiversity. Oop, I'm having trouble. Sorry about that. Now the team's focus is on cultivating a neuro-affirming work environment. And so when we think about that, that environment is an environment that's supportive for not only students, but also for faculty and staff that that navigate neurodiversity so that they can thrive and succeed. And to give you some insight in how we got started on this project, it was just a year ago that myself and a couple of staff members were having a discussion about how neurodiversity touches each of us in very different ways. And as we were having these conversations, we soon realized that we weren't alone, and that many people across our campus, particularly staff and faculty, suffer in silence. And there was a drive for us to dig deeper into this, but also a passion to start the conversation. And that's really how we got started. And so as we navigated this path, we recruited some UROP students to assist us with the research. And then we also reached out to 2 institutions that had already launched neurodiversity work. That would be the University of Melbourne, and their neurodiversity project launched in 2003. And then the Stanford Neurodiversity Project that launched in 2018. And in these conversations with the institutions and the students, there were many opportunities, but the dynamics really changed when the University of Melbourne mentioned to us that they were going to be in the US and they would love to stop by Michigan and give a talk to help us unpack these conversations. And as you can imagine, we were thrilled. But the challenge soon set in because we, again, are a group of volunteer staff members from across different departments. And it really became evident that it was going to be a challenge because we didn't have a budget or funding to work with to try to launch some of our efforts. So the brainstorming began, and I am a staunch believer that if you don't ask, you don't know. And so we put out a call for sponsorship through our networks. And the response was overwhelming. We had over 25 units from across campus fund us for this project. We had 275 people attend our conference in person. We had over 750 people attend online from across the globe. And what that confirmed to us is that this is not a conversation that only we are having. This is a conversation that goes beyond the microcosm of our university and goes across the globe. When we evaluated the feedback from participants at our conference, I think the feedback that we got that was really most impactful for the team was that people were finally beginning to feel that they were being seen and that they were being heard. And as part of that environment and part of that feedback, people are asking for more. And so with that in mind, and after coming off of this high of working in the conference, we didn't want to stop. And so we, again, went back and we're like, how do we continue this project? And so I went to my department and I pitched the project. It was almost like a marriage proposal to see if there was interest and see how we could move forward. And I'm excited to share that the ISR, the Institute of Social Research, is behind us. We are currently working on a framework and hopefully we'll be launching our project in the spring of 2025. We are also currently thinking about how do we evolve education assessments and educational tools. The project will start with the climate assessment survey. We are currently being invited to give a number of talks, and so we're going to develop a webinar series to continue this conversation of talking about neurodiversity and keeping that conversation front and center. And then again, we are planning on working on the the conference again for next year. So save the date. The conference is scheduled to take place on March the 25th and 26th, and will be held here on campus. More information is coming out soon, but there's our email. If you have any interest, questions, or just want to find out how to be part of the project, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandy. And now we'll move into our last unit spotlight, where I'm going to welcome Nathan Hankey. Nathan serves as the Professional Development Inclusion Manager within OHE, the Office for Health, Equity, and Inclusion. And he's going to be talking about a program within Michigan Medicine devoted to middle school tutoring. And what's so nice about this program is that usually when you think about Michigan Medicine, you think about healthcare. And that is, of course, the core of what they do. But this program really showcased another aspect of their equity and inclusion efforts. So thank you, Nathan.
Thank you, Katrina. My name is, as Katrina shared, my name is Nathan Hankey, and I'm a part of the Michigan Medicine Office for Health, Equity, and Inclusion. At Michigan Medicine, our work is centered on the principles that everyone deserves to feel a sense of belonging and should have equitable access to healthcare and education. In year one, we merged the American Hospital Association's Health Equity Roadmap with the U of M DEI 2.0 strategic planning structure to meet the unique needs of an academic medical center comprised of over 30,000 faculty, staff, and learners. This gave rise to a philosophy of alignment over addition, which is core to our implementation. In year one, implementation included the creation of a health equity and inclusion database chronicling hundreds of DE&I, health equity, and belonging efforts across Michigan Medicine. Our year two plan will feature an expansion of this database for content and usership and the introduction of an annual reporting tool. Another component of our plan that is core to our work is a Pathways program with dozens of initiatives. As Katrina mentioned, I would like to show you a brief video on one such program that connects to faculty as well as learners from middle school all the way through academic residency.
The Youth Summit is a unique one-day event for students historically underrepresented in medicine to engage with Michigan Medicine healthcare teams through interactive simulations, curated resources, personal connections, and enlightening panel discussions. Building off of the success of the Youth Summit and in an effort to provide more long-term support to underrepresented in medicine middle school students, the Michigan Medicine Office for Health Equity and Inclusion has developed a Math and Health Sciences Middle School University Collaborative. In partnership with local schools, Ann Arbor Scarlett Middle School and Ypsilanti Community Middle School, and the U of M community, we will provide mathematics-focused support for middle school students through small group mentoring and academic coaching throughout the school year. We recognize the importance of curricula that create safe, affirming, engaging, and humanizing spaces for all students. To ensure our curriculum connects students' identities, backgrounds, and experiences, we are partnering with the School of Education to ground our work in culturally relevant pedagogy.
We're doing identity work. I think it allows kids to dream, and I don't think we have enough opportunities for kids to be able to see themselves beyond what currently exists. This program allows them to begin to work on that future right now. The future begins here.
U of M undergraduate and graduate students will serve as student success coaches, tutoring and mentoring students, and working alongside middle school math teachers to regularly assess students' math progress.
Coming in, I didn't really know what to expect, but it's been like a lot of fun. Most rewarding part has been getting to know the kids.
Like sometimes like in math, when like I forget to do something at home, it was like I do like something, you know, like pop up like, oh, I know this. I learned division, multiplication, multiplying decimals, parentheses. It makes me feel great about myself, for real.
This program has been a huge benefit to our students. It has increased their confidence. It has increased their skills. They really need that one-on-one attention in terms of their academics, but also that human connection. So we see the difference that it's making.
Beyond receiving weekly math support, numerous times throughout the semester, youth will be introduced to health science topics and professions, participating in hands-on learning experiences and engaging discussions with University of Michigan faculty, staff, and students.
I wanted to get involved in this program. I think it's important to engage kids early in medicine and engineering, light that fire of interest, even if it's just connecting with one student in the topic, helping them see that this could be a career for them in the future.
We have students who are repeating what they've heard. They are talking about being doctors and they're talking about strategies that they learned in math. Their math scores are going up. Having the consistency of this program in our building, the excellence that the University of Michigan brings, it shows in this program.
In our pilot program, 95% of all students self-reported having learned helpful math strategies to support their success in math class. 85% of all students self-reported that our success coaches helped them make more real-life connections to math. 62.5% of Ypsilanti Community Middle School students improved their math enrichment grades between 2 to 10 letter grades. On average, each student increased their career exposure to 3 to 6 health science specialties through our health science learning sessions with U of M faculty. 70% of Scarlett Middle School students said the sessions with doctors made them more interested in medicine and what doctors do. Together with our community and U of M partners, the Office for Health Equity and Inclusion is committed to strengthening underrepresented students' math academic performance, self-efficacy, college readiness, and exposure to health science careers, creating more equitable pathways for academic and career success.
Thank you to Ode for the opportunity. I would also invite you, if you would like to hear more, to click the QR code quickly over my shoulder, as we will give further updates and engage folks in an art-based performance to help us engage in dialogue and navigate difference more effectively. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nathan. Such a wonderful program and a fantastic video. And thank you to all of our presenters for the unit spotlights. This work is truly transformational. So I'm going to move us towards the close of our program. So before we wrap up our session today, I'd like to engage us in one final activity together. So you're going to see a poll appearing on your screen. Oh, can everyone hear me okay? I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. But I was just accounting and thanking all the presenters for the wonderful information. And before we wrap up today, we want to engage in one final activity for you to put in one word that captures what you're taking away from today's session. I hope today's session has provided you with valuable insights into our collective progress and has sparked curiosity to learn even more about the transformative work that's happening all across our wonderful campus. Your continued interest and involvement are what really make this journey possible. The recording for today's presentation will be available immediately following our live stream on diversity.umich.edu. Slides will also be available at the same URL on Tuesday. As you reflect on today's session, I encourage you to take several concrete steps. Explore the Year 1 Progress Report. 2, find your unit plan. 3, identify your unit's DEI leads. 4, learn about the work happening in your school, college, or unit. And 5, discover how you can be involved. You can do all of this by visiting diversity.umich.edu and also our DEI plan, DEIplan.umich.edu to get more information about the progress report. So the word cloud, thank you for filling in all the important insights. And the words I saw were very heartening in terms of really tapping into what we're trying to do and upholding DEI as our core value. And they will serve our collective motivation as we move forward in this important work. I want to sincerely thank each of you for your active participation and engagement today. I hope you leave this session feeling energized and inspired for the work that we have ahead. I want you to remember that DEI work is for all of us. It is about all of us, and it will need all of us to succeed because we are DEI. Have a wonderful rest of your day.